Okay, OPR is basically if you want to use a different word, we use a KLIBOR, KLIBOR. So basically, overnight, every night, after midnight, the rate will change because Bank Negara Malaysia will decide how much interest that they're going to charge on that day. So basically, if the interest is, for example, 5% today, that it doesn't mean that it will be 5% also tomorrow. So after midnight, it can remain at 5% as well, but it can also be changed to either 4%, which is less than 5%, or increase to 6%. So this is the new rate. So for variable rate mortgage, the amounts that we pay is basically the variable amount as well in terms of repayment. So if the interest rate increase tomorrow up to 6%, so that means the amounts that they calculated based on compound interest will also be based on 6%. So that's why, because we are normally pay on monthly basis, so every month uh, repayment will be different. So that's what you mean by OPR for variable rate mortgage. Okay, Lavia?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other question?
Doctor, I still have a bit confused on the calculation of the Masyarakat Mutana Kisah for the customer equities part.
Okay, for the customer equity, because the customer or the purchaser started with 10% down payment. So that means the balance of 90% will actually be provided by the financial institution, unless if the loan is 100%. If 100% loan, so basically the customer has no equity at all in the beginning because 100% loan. So under normal market circumstances, usually we have 10%. We have to come, like I always say, either from our own pocket money from EPF, we pay 10%. So the balance of 90% will actually be provided by the financial institution. So if, let's say, the customer get a 100% loan from the financial institution, that means the customer do not pay anything in the beginnings because the total value of the loan applied is 100%. So in that case, the customer equity will be 0% at the beginning. So once the customer started to pay on monthly basis, so usually we convert it to yearly for purpose of calculation because the interest rate or the profit used by the financial institution will normally be on yearly basis to calculate based on a yearly basis. If you want to calculate, to find the monthly amount, so just divided by 12. So this amount, the customer equity, when he or she started to repay the total loans that he or she got from the financial institution, so on monthly basis, so the customers have to pay the fixed amount every month or every year. So basically, the amounts of loan or the amounts of amortization, that means the capital outstanding will be amortized on a fixed, on a constant basis. So basically, the balance after we deduct from hang on, when you try to enter, always disturb me. I have to deny because I said at 9:15. Okay, on a monthly basis, so basically the amounts will, in terms of equity, because at the beginnings, the customer has only 0% equity for 100% loan, and therefore you cannot see my screen because whenever you enter, it will interrupt. So, So, started from the beginning, the bank's equity is 100% for 100% loans. So that means customer equity is zero. So once we start to pay from month to month, so basically the bank's equity will be reduced by a certain percentage. That percentage comes from how much that we pay. So on monthly basis or yearly basis, the outstanding principal will be reduced from time to time, and then towards the end, let's say the mortgage period is 25 years. So by the end of 25 years, the customer will get 100% equity and the banks will have 0% equity. Okay, Minyao?
Doctor, do you mind I share screen?
No, at this time.
Okay.
After we finish the lecture, that's fine. But
Okay.
not now. Or during tutorial, it's okay. During tutorial.
Okay.
Because we need time for our lecture.
Okay.
Okay, any other question? One more question, please, if you have. Otherwise, we'll proceed with our lecture.
No, for now, Doctor.
Okay, good. So now we go to our lecture. I'll start to record. It's taking time. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, good. Let me double check again. Okay, we are recording now. Okay, so for lecture today is about real estate investment trust. So real estate investment trust is basically referred to income producing properties. So in other words, whenever we decide to invest in real estate, it doesn't mean that we have to invest in a single property, single unit of property. For example, we want to purchase a shop, a retail lot, for example, in the commercial sector, we can't afford it. If we can't afford it, then we can actually share by share of that particular lot. So basically, we can actually purchase that particular property through the shares issued by that particular company. So this share is called real estate investment trust. So if we do not purchase or we have interest to have shares on that particular property, like commercial complex, for example, but we can't afford to purchase. So basically, this is the best way for us to actually purchase the property. But in terms of the names on the title, obviously it's not our names because we only purchase the shares offered by that particular companies. And then the way that we purchase is the same like stocks and shares, like we normally purchase in, let's say in Malaysia, so basically in Bursa Malaysia or stock exchange. So basically we purchase through broker. So we have to approach broker, just like the same like a unit trust. like I mentioned to you before, so we have to approach a broker, and the broker will buy for us. So basically, the broker will try to find the best REITs that are available in the market, and then we just purchase through it. So basically, we invest our money with that particular company, and then the REITs which lately, if you see it in terms of diversification, so the trend is basically not only for one particular sector. For example, if you want to invest in a commercial sector, but REITs nowadays they try to they try to purchase properties in different sectors as well. So that's why they diversify their business. The purpose is if one particular sector is having problem, like now we are having problem with offices. Obviously, if we purchase REITs for any particular company that have offices portfolio, so basically we won't make any money now. So basically, if that company also have industrial, for example, and then other sectors like residential, most residential nowadays become REITs already because of the demands, especially in the city center. And then when come to that stage, so if commercial is not doing good enough at the moment, but other sectors like industrial, for example, industrial for smaller units is not doing well, but for built to suit purposes, they are still doing well because there is still demand on it, and then the rental rate is also considered good. So basically, if commercial is not doing well, so other sector will actually help to maintain the dividends that the company is supposed to offer. Even the commercial is not doing well. But if you purchase our REITs from one particular company that actually involved in one particular sector, especially commercial, so basically we are going down together with the company. So basically, this is the best way as compared to if you cannot afford to invest in any sector, any particular unit as a whole. So basically, we can actually purchase share of that particular company. So that's the beauty of having real estate investment trust. So in terms of returns in Malaysia, it's about 6% average. And then the best REITs at the moment is Axis REIT. So Axis REIT is doing well, and in fact, it was the first REIT which, if I'm not mistaken, offered in the market in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, it was the first REIT in Malaysia, and now we have about 18 REITs company. So the majority of REITs in Malaysia are commercial, and then only a few, I think about 4 or 5 REITs companies, Islamic REITs. So basically, for Islamic REITs, it just seems like a sukuk that like we have discussed before, and then for conventional, it's just like the stock and shares. So that is the basic things about the REITs. So whenever we purchase REITs, so we are exempted from income tax for the dividend that we receive. From the income that we receive, we are exempted from income tax because REIT is a one-way, what we call it, a one-way tax, transferable tax, because the company will have to pay the so-called withholding tax. So withholding tax is something like when we are taxable. So basically that income will actually be whole until next year, and then only next year we will actually pay to the inland revenue or lembaga hasil dalam negeri. So basically for the company, the rules of REITs is basically they have to come out with, they have to pay 90% of the profit for that particular year to the investor. So that means they can only keep 10% of the income for that particular year for their own future investment. So basically, we as investor will enjoy 90% of the incomes that the REITs company has created, and then basically we will also enjoy from the dividend that we receive, which is a tax-free, so we do not have to pay anything. But the withholding tax will actually be paid by the organization itself. So it's basically the same like other corporations. So corporations, when we talk in terms of IPOs, initial public offerings, when they want to expand, any corporation want to expand their businesses, for example, they want to have more branches or more products or want to have bigger factories, etc. So basically come out with IPOs, initial public offerings. That means they will issue shares to the market, and then we as investor will purchase. So basically we become the shareholder of that particular corporations. But for REITs company, so basically we purchase share, but we like stock and share just now, we becomes part of the company's shareholder, although we cannot say owner because we are not running the company. And then towards the end, we will help the companies to grow bigger, so they can actually buy more property, and then they can diversify. So basically, when the REITs that we purchase reach the maturity period, so we'll get dividend. So exactly the same like corporation. So we have to purchase also through Bursa Malaysia, but the only thing is we have to approach the broker, REITs broker. The same like when we purchase a unit trust, had to go through broker because we can't afford to purchase bulk amounts of REITs. So the same thing like we discussed in secondary mortgage markets last time. So basically the private debt securities, we cannot purchase in the bulks. So normally institutional investors. So if we really want to purchase, so we have to approach broker as well. So the way that they work is basically the same. So that is about REITs. So now we go into details about what does it mean by REITs. You can stop me as usual if you want to. So we try to see international perspective, and then we try to see Malaysian perspective, and then we see diversification. So basically REITs, REITs are entities that invest in different kind of real estate, including shopping centers, office, hotel, and mortgages secured by real estate. So this definition given by Securities Commission of Malaysia. So basically, it involves in income-producing properties such as shopping centers, office building, hotel, and mortgages secured by real estate. So that means the private debt securities as well. So REIT is an investment vehicle that are proposed to invest at least 75%. So this is the rules from international perspective, must invest at least 75% of its local asset in real estate. So that means all the asset that they have, they declare 75% must be real estate. Otherwise, they are not entitled to be REITs company, whether through single purpose company whose principal asset comprises of real estate. So this is also definition given by Securities Commission. But under US definition, a REIT is a company that owns and in most cases operates income-producing real estate such as apartments, because apartment in the US normally rentable as compared to Malaysia is slightly not that active in renting market for apartments. Shopping centers, the same, offices, hotel, and warehouses of factories or industry. So some REITs also engage in financing real estate. So this is the difference. You have to remember this. REITs in the US can also engage in real estate, but not in Malaysia. In Malaysia, REITs is not allowed to engage in financing of real estate, because financing real estate should come from financial institution. So the shares of a REIT are freely traded, usually on a major stock exchange. So I've already explained this now. In Bursa Malaysia, the same thing. So a company that qualifies as a REIT is permitted to deduct dividends paid to its shareholders from its corporate tax bill. So that means REITs company can actually deduct a dividend paid to shareholder from his corporate tax bill. So like I said just now, 90% must be paid as dividend. So only 10% left for that particular company. As a result, most REITs remit at least 100% of the taxable income to the shareholders and therefore owe no corporate tax. Then taxes are paid by shareholders on the dividends received and any capital gains. So to qualify as a REIT, a company must distribute at least 90% of its taxable income to its shareholder annually. So REITs have to pay 90% of their annual profit in the form of dividends to the to the shareholders. They cannot keep more than 10% of the profit. So if they keep more than 10%, that means they will be rejected, or they will be kicked out as a REITs company. So they have to rigidly follow the rules imposed by any particular countries, like in the US. So the same thing in Malaysia, but only different. The main difference I can see is the US REITs company, they can involve in real estate financing as well. So that means they provide loans to developer to develop for any property development. They can also provide loans to purchasers in terms of bridging, in terms of end financing, but not in Malaysia. In Malaysia, the developers also cannot become REITs company. So because if they develop any property, any project, and then they want to keep the completed project for their own investment through when they register as REIT company, for example, so these kind of companies are not allowed. These people are not allowed to be the REITs company. They must sell. They must sell the units to other companies, and if other companies want to use it or want to make it part of the investment portfolio, so basically no issues. So that particular company will become REITs company. Another thing is when we talk about REITs, so you are very important in terms of property management. You will be a qualified property managers once you graduate. You get yourself registered with the board of valuers, so you will become a property manager. So the more REITs company we have, the more chances or the more jobs, related jobs to property management will be equal, because it must be managed by listed property managers. Although some, in Malaysia, we see in Malaysia, so basically some CEOs are not from real estate. Axis, for example, used to be an engineer that Stuart Library, for example. So basically, by profession, he is an engineer, and he ventured into business. But now he's no longer with Axis. And then the same thing for other companies as well. So if you come from a real estate background, you graduate, and then there are a lot of chances for you to join REITs company as well. You become the property manager, as well as if you know better in terms of market. That's why you may be appointed as the chairman of REITs company. And the REITs may deduct the dividends paid to shareholders from its corporate tax bills, so long as the company's assets are primarily composed of real estate held for long term. So it must be held for long term. So the company's income is mainly derived from real estate, and the company pays out at least 90% of its taxable income to shareholders. So the main benefit of being a REIT will involve one level of taxation. So that means we are exempted from paying tax. Otherwise, you become a double countings for the amount of tax. So the REITs company will actually have to pay the so-called withholding tax. So the main limitation of being a REIT, a restriction on earnings retained by the company. So only 10%. So these are the advantages of being a REIT company. Only 10% can actually be kept for future investment, and 90% has to be paid to the shareholders. Why were REITs created? REITs were created to make investment in large scale, income producing real estate accessible to smaller investors. So basically, they need a lot of money to invest in any real estate projects on for real income for income producing realistically smaller investors have a chance to join them. Like I said just now, because we as a smaller investor, we are not a company, so any individuals, the majorities are smaller investors. So basically, if we can afford to purchase a single unit, we can afford to purchase shopping a hyper mall, for example, because the price is so much too high, 200, 300 million. So usually we can actually purchase that mall by purchasing REITs, that particular company. So it is decided that the only way for average investor to invest in large-scale commercial property was the same way they invest in other industries, through purchase of publicly traded stock. So like IPOs, I said just now, for ordinary stock from corporation. So it's the same thing for REITs, the stocks. The way that they work is still the same, like stock. So basically, the REITs company will actually issues real estate investment trust. So the the real estate investment trust is the same like the stock. So basically, we can purchase. So in the same way as shareholders benefit by owning stocks of other corporation, the stockholders of a REIT earn a pro-rate share of the economic benefit that are derived from the production of income through commercial real estate ownership. So income from rental that the tenants pay to the REITs company, so that will become a dividend for us if we purchase REITs from that particular companies. So the REITs offer distinct advantages for investors, greater diversification through investing in a portfolio of properties rather than a single building. So more and more. Initially in Malaysia, started with like Axis, for example, started with office buildings. So after that, they diversify. The company diversifies to industrial, to other sectors as well. So basically, every sectors that we have can become, the company can create rich sectors. For example, industrial, warehousing or warehouse, offices, even agriculture, like boosted REITs. For example, they come up with agriculture, and then offices, retail. This the most famous one, offices and retail, but now they are not doing good now during the COVID-19. And then what else? Resort. So basically, diversify. We see other diversification after this. So how does a company qualify as a REIT? So it must be an entity that is taxable as a corporation. So like other ordinary business, corporations will actually produce IPOs. So that is the way that they try to expand their businesses. So the same with REIT company. It must be an entity which is taxable as a corporation, and then should be managed by a board of directors or trustees, and then have shares that are fully transferable, have a minimum of 100 shareholders. This is from international perspective. Have no more than 50% of the shares held by 5 or fewer individuals during the last half of each taxable year. Invest at least 75% in real estate. Derive at least 75% of income from real estate. Have no more than 20% of his asset consists of stocks, and then pay dividends of at least 90% of his taxable income. So some of these requirement has been adopted by Bursa Malaysia. So basically, we will see the difference between US rate, because US rate started in 1960. I was not born yet, and the same with you. So they started already. US is the first country that offer rates, and then started to follow by other countries, including Malaysia. So 1960 was a very, very long time ago. They already started. Then Europe also follow US model. And Malaysia also follow US model, but we changed a bit. So the same like when we learn the mortgage-backed security system, we follow US, but we change a bit to suit our local context. So the same thing with REIT company. So this is amongst the things that the companies need to have in order to become a REIT company.
Doctor, can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
You can't hear. Because just now you say that in Malaysia we cannot, in US they can do the REITs, which is financing the real estate, right? But in Malaysia, no. But in this slide, Doctor, the last three, the derive at least 75% of gross income from rents from real property. The first part I understand, but the second part, or interest on mortgages on real estate, this part I quite confusing because in Malaysia they already cannot financing the real estate one.
Which one?
The last three.
The last.
Derive at least 75% of gross income. That one. The first part I understand. But the second part, or interest on mortgage on real property. This part I don't understand.
Interest, still cannot find which one. Page 4, is it? The page where we now?
It's like currently we are seeing now.
So the point from bottom, which point?
Counting from the last, counting from third one, counting from bottom.
Third one from bottom.
Yeah, third one from bottom.
That means this one, is it? Can you see the cursor?
Yeah.
So this one.
Yeah.
So this one, so we basically the REIT company must derive 75% of gross income from rents obtained for real estate. That means what it means here. So basically, they have property. So that property must be counted as part of the income for the company. So they must have at least 75%. If they invest, the income come from 75% or above up to 100%. So that means they are secure to be REIT companies. So interest on mortgages on real property. What it means here, financing is not for the company, for the REIT company to offer a financing like is offering, but they can actually get mortgage from financial institution. So if they get mortgage from financial institution, that means they have to pay interest. Can you see the difference?
Oh, okay.
So that's what it means here. So in Malaysia, we cannot become banks. REIT company is not a bank, but in the US, REIT company also is not also a bank, but they can actually provide services like the banks is providing. But in Malaysia, REIT company cannot provide loans, cannot provide funds, and in fact, they cannot even develop their own property to become a REIT company. Developers who develop the project, and then they do not sell, and then they want to be a REIT company. So in Malaysia, it's not allowed. But if you want to sell, it's fine. Or if they really want to be a REIT company, they have to purchase a property to be part of their portfolio.
So, doctor, in this mean like the REIT company cannot develop their own buildings, is it? They
Yes.
must purchase the property, real estate property.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, doctor.
That's why some companies they set up their own subsidiary. If you want to be that way, they have to set up a REITs company, become the subsidiary, but not the developers itself will become the REITs company. They cannot, but they can set up as a subsidiary, which is the company doesn't involve in real estate development, but they purchase that particular unit, and then they can become REITs company, provided that they fulfill all the requirement. You see what I mean?
Yes, thank you.
So the REIT industry has a diverse profile which offers many attractive opportunities to investors. REITs industry analysts often classify REITs in one of three investment approach, either equity REITs, mortgage REIT, or hybrid REITs. So equity REITs is basically referred to the REITs own and operate income producing real estate. So equity REITs increasingly become primarily real estate operating companies that engage in a wide range of real estate activities, including leasing, development of property. Development of property, this is in the US only, like I said just now. It's not applicable in Malaysia, and tenant services. So one major distinction between REITs and other real estate companies is that a REIT must acquire and develop its properties. So develop its properties, this is in the USA, primarily to operate them as part of its own portfolio. So in Malaysia, a REIT must acquire. A REIT must acquire. Forget the words here, develop. So must acquire its properties primarily to operate them as part of its own portfolio, rather than to resell them once they are developed. So this is not applicable. Some of them are applicable in Malaysia because we cannot actually purchase. We cannot actually develop and then keep as our investment portfolio because we will be disqualified as a REITs company. So that is equity REIT. Mortgage REITs lend money directly to real estate owners and operators or extend credit indirectly through the acquisition of loans or mortgage-backed securities. So today's mortgage REIT generally extend mortgage credit only on existing properties. So this is also in the USA. They have mortgage REITs through credit, where they extend credit indirectly through the acquisition of loans or mortgage-backed securities. So, and then a hybrid REIT, we see the combination of equity REITs and mortgage REIT. So both own properties and make loans to real estate owners and operators. But in Malaysia, we purchase the property and then we rent the units to the market, and then the incomes that we receive from the tenants will actually be given to share investors, shareholders, about 90% of the income. So basically, that's why REITs company renting market is very important. So if the space is fully rented out, so that means that company is very good. We'll see how do we justify the REITs company in terms of performance later on. So it's a typical REIT structure. So basically in Malaysia also, we follow this kind of structure. So basically we have REITs in the middle, and then we have unit holders, we have REIT managers. So REIT manager is basically yourself. Once you graduate, you can put yourself here if you want to, or you want to be, to be in different discipline also can. But usually, you must get yourself registered. That's why registered valuer is very important. If you don't want to have your own company, you can work with someone, especially REITs company. You join at the corporate sector. So basically, in terms of the salary wise is also very good if you become a REITs manager. And then you can also become part of for the long run. You can also become the board of directors because your background is in real estate. And then we have trustees on the right here, and then we have property asset. So between the relationship between unit holders and property asset. So REITs basically purchase property. So that property will become part of their investment, and then through renting the unit to the tenant, so basically they make income, and then the net property income after deduct everything, so net property income will become REITs income. So that amount is basically supposed to pay to the unit holders here. So unit holders will actually invest in REITs by purchasing REITs, and then the income the REITs receive from here, from property asset, will actually be distributed to unit holders every year. 90% will be distributed as dividend. So that's the relationship between unit holders and property asset. And then if we look at in terms of REIT manager, so basically REIT manager, real estate investment trust manager, will actually look after all the services by REITs company in terms of the real estate investment trust, in terms of the stocks that they produce. So basically, the REITs company will pay management fee to REIT manager, and then the REIT manager will actually pay management, will actually claim management services, because they provide management services to the REITs, so they can claim management fee. So this is why we were having a problem a couple of years back, if you are aware. I think when you were in first year, maybe you haven't entered. And so basically, REITs company, they try to sabotage our profession, real estate profession. Basically, they try to conquer, because REITs has become famous from time to time, they try to conquer the REITs market. So they want to control REITs business through their own manager. So that means they appoint their own manager, which are not qualified, which are not the registered valuer. So basically, REITs, because they could see the prospect of REITs businesses in Malaysia, so they try to hijack this profession. And then one of the minister, that minister already gone, supported them. So basically, they try to get this profession from the board of valuers, because they say that you are valuer, so that means you do valuation. You are not a REITs manager, you are not a property manager. But they don't understand, some university called property management, some companies call real estate investment, some call real estate like us in UM, some call property investment, etc. So they are all come from the same discipline. So we fight back. I think your senior also have, they went to parliament to show the support. So basically, we got back the profession. So basically, all REITs manager must be registered under the board of valuers, regardless whether they have qualification in real estate or not. So if they do not have qualification in real estate, but they have experience in real estate management, so basically they can also attend TPC for property management. So that means they will only get a license for property management. But you yourself, once you graduate from UM, you are qualified for 3 licenses: as a valuer, as an estate agency, and as a property manager. But those who are not graduated in real estate, so basically they can only apply either to be a REIT manager, either to be a property manager, or they can also apply, to be a estate agent if they want to, but they definitely cannot apply for, to be a valuer. So valuer comprises 3 things, and those who are not graduate from real estate can only choose either to become property manager or to become estate agent. But they have to follow, certain courses as well, and it's quite tough actually if they are not from a real estate background. So you basically have, better off, in the market. And so basically, because you graduate from real estate and from recognized university as well. So that's why, they are fighting to get a property management profession from the board of valuers. And then because at that time supporting this particular risk group very much. So basically we lost the profession just for a while until, we fight back. So we got back profession. So now they have to follow the new rules because the parliament has already approved. So they have to register themselves under the board of valuers, otherwise they also cannot become risk manager. The reason is when they have set up a risk company, so basically they want to manage. When they want to manage, the things that why do we have to pay outsiders or outsource to other companies? Because it's companies. So basically, they are too greedy in terms of making money. So that's why they want to set up their own subsidiary as a risk manager. They don't want to get risk manager from registered under the board of valuers. So that's the situation at that time. And then we also have trustees. So trustees, just the same like private debt securities or mortgage-backed securities system. We have trustees. Then these trustees will actually act on behalf of unit holders. So basically, trustee will protect the unit holders. So in terms of insurance, it's like if anything happen, for example, if crash realizations occurred throughout the investment period, so basically, a trustee will look after it. So risk company cannot cheat, just in case they want to cheat, because we have trustees. So trustee will actually hold properties for the benefit of unit holders. So basically, in the case of bankruptcy, for example, so the trustees will play roles in order to compensate the risk investors. So in order to do this, so REITs have to pay trustee fees to trustees. So trustees usually come from a company like especially lawyer company or solicitors. But risk manager usually come from real estate firm who become risk manager. Or if they want to set up their own risk manager here, in the risk management section. So basically, the manager must be registered under the board of valuers. Otherwise, they can outsource to existing real estate firms to manage a risk company. So that is the structure of risk company. So basically, the typical risk relation is tripartite agreement between three parties: the manager, the trustee, unit holders. The manager, the trustees, the trustee, unit holder. So tripartite relationship is governed by a deed registered with the regulator, example Security Commissions in Malaysia. So who determines REITs investment? REITs investment are determined by its board of directors. So everyone can be the board directors, but usually from someone who are well known or people like us when we graduate real estate. So if we create our name in the market, so REITs company may appoint us as well. So basically well-known people in the market. Like other public companies, REITs directors are elected and responsible to the shareholders, and the directors appoint the management personnel. So the board of directors, just like corporation, every corporation have the board of directors. So we as a shareholders, we have the right to kick out the board of directors during the annual general meeting and reappoint new board of directors if you want to. So basically, we have a power, although we do not manage the company. So the same thing for REITs. So the directors will be elected by the shareholders, and the shareholders can keep them out as well during the annual general meeting if they think that the existing board of directors is not good in running the company. They do not make fit, for example, and then they do not diversify. So basically, the level of business is the same like a year ago, for example. So basically, they can kick out this kind of board of directors. So as with other public corporation, REIT directors are typically well-known, respected members of the real estate, I said just now. So how are REITs managed? Like other public companies, the corporate officers and professionals that manage REITs are accountable both to the boards of directors as well as the shareholders and creditors. So basically, just like ordinary corporation, so basically we have, the board of directors will appoint the management team, and then the management team will appoint the employees in order to run the REITs company. So most REITs become public companies. So the same like corporation. So corporation that offer IPOs, like I said just now, will become public companies. So often transforming to public ownership what had previously been a private enterprise. So most private enterprises have become public companies. So what we say, why we said public, because when we issue shares for corporation, for example, then when they issue shares, so basically everyone can purchase that company by purchasing shares through shares. So basically, they will become a public company. That's what it means by public companies. Syarikat berhad. So if we the same thing for real estate. So real estate investment trust. So basically, once they issue real estate investment trust, so basically people can actually purchase. So it will become a public company. So in many cases, the majority owners of these private enterprise become the senior officers of the REIT. So basically, we started our post with Ain'ni REITs company. So if we stay there for a long period, usually there is a possibility that we can actually be appointed as the top bosses as well. So the senior management teams of many REITs own a significant portion. So that's the beauty of become a management team, because we can actually purchase, or we can actually have certain portions of shares for that particular REITs company. So who are the common shareholders? Property developers are the common shareholders in the USA, but not in Malaysia. And owners of REITs, as they specialize in the developments of real estate, also in the USA. So they have the advantages of knowing how to create and give the best improvement that can be made in real properties, which lets them have a better business strategy for renting them out for business purposes. They also have the edge of knowing how to maintain and operate such establishment. So this is normally done by risk managers in Malaysia. So now we see in terms of the Asean Rates. So I don't have to go into detail of this. So we try to see which country in Asia that have REITs. Excuse me. So Japan have REITs. Singapore also have REITs. So in terms of requirements, 75% must be invested in real estate. So the same thing for Singapore, 75% must be invested in real estate. So in terms of geographical restriction, no restriction for Japanese company. That means they can also operate overseas. And then Singapore also can also operate overseas. It is allowable. And then Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very strict, where 100% must be invested in real estate. Otherwise, they cannot become REITs company. and then they can also expand overseas as well. No recession. And South Korea, this one is a bit relaxed because only 70% must be invested in real estate, and then they can also expand overseas. Taiwan, there is no limit, but in terms of investment, it must be cash, either government bonds, or property-related rights, or beneficiary securities. So basically, they can actually involve in government bonds, what we call it gilt edge stock, something like that. So Taiwan, no recession. And then other markets, India also have started in 2002. Philippines also have, also in 2002. Indonesia. Also have REITs through Indonesian Bank Restructuring Agency, IRBA. And then Thailand also have. And then China is still, even now 2020, so it's still at the infancy stage. They are still formulating the REITs regulation. So they started 2001 as under property trust laws, but now they are also formulating for the REITs. So now we go to rates, Malaysian rates. Anything to ask before we go to Malaysian rates? About international rates just now? No?
No, for now, Doctor.
Okay, good. Thank you. So now we go to Malaysian rates. Malaysia was the first country in Asia to adopt rules creating real estate investment trust. That happened in 1986 when Bank Negara Malaysia, or the Central Bank of Malaysia, approved a regulatory framework based on the Companies Act 1965. So Companies Act 1965, this is the act that control the operations of corporations. So when we want to set up a business, it must be registered under the Company Act 1965. So any corporations, they want to issue REIT must be registered under the Companies Act 1965 and the Securities Industry Act 1983. So it's also referred as listed property trust and formed as Malaysian registered trust. So before 1986, we have property trust. So property trust works exactly like REITs, but they are not in terms of the requirements. It's not the same REITs, which have to distribute 90% of their income, for example, to their purchasers. But property trust is just a trust company where they can actually come up with a property trust in the form of securities, and then people can actually purchase, but they are not subject to 90% dividend to be paid to purchasers. And then they are also not subject to 75% of their income should come from real estate. So basically just invest in any real estate with no limitation. There is a certain limitation, but not exactly the same like a REIT company. So after that, the government has decided to come up with a REIT company in 2004. So basically, those property trust funds company transferred themselves to be a real estate investment trust. So they started to purchase properties and then provide, real estate investment trust, provide REITs, and then they started to do business. So the same thing for Islamic REITs. So basically, they also started in 2005. The conventional one started in 2004. From 2004 to 2005, now we become, we have about 18 REITs companies, and then about 5 of them Islamic REITs. So basically, we are doing well now. So under Malaysian rules, this company must be a registered trust approved by Securities Commission. So SC, Security Commission, will control the REITs company, and then it is managed and administered by a management company approved by Securities Commission. So management companies, so that means real estate firms or registered property managers, that must be approved by Security Commission. Otherwise, they cannot actually have a REITs company, become REITs company. And then minimum fund size under the REITs guideline is 100 million. So the company must be very strong. If you do not have a fund size of 100 million, they cannot become REITs company. And the subsequent issuance of new units shall be of minimums of 25 million per unit holders. A maximum of 40% foreign effective equity if they want to have invested to get themselves invested overseas, or other companies from overseas want to join. So a maximum of 40% foreign equity only is allowed. A qualified property manager to manage all the real property. So that means registered property managers. In terms of the structure of MREITs in Malaysia, it is a unit trust. I mentioned just now, unit trust, the same thing. We have to approach the stockbroker to purchase the unit trust, the same thing for REITs. And in terms of management structures, it is external. So basically, we have to appoint real estate manager or the property manager in order to manage REITs. And then the percent of invested in real estate must be at least 75%. And the geographical restriction, no restriction for Malaysian REIT, but subject to approval from a Securities Commission. And property development, this is what I said just now, is prohibited, but may enter into conditional forward purchase agreement subject to Securities Commission approval. So that means the company can actually become this company through forward purchase agreements. So that means for purchase, we want to purchase, let's say this company want to purchase a project that will be developed by Sandabi, for example. Sandabi itself cannot become a REITs company. But the company that books in the advance, that means they already have a ready purchaser. Let's say company A, for example. So company A can approach Sandabi, I want to purchase the whole developments once completed. So that means they don't have to sell to other people, but they can advertise to rent the completed unit to be to the purchasers, to the renters. So basically, company A can actually book to forward sale. That means they will purchase all the completed units in 20 years, in 2 years' time. So basically, this is okay. But if Sandabi itself want to keep all the units, completed units for their own investment portfolio, then they are not eligible, they are not qualified to be a REITs company. So most companies want to be a REITs company, just I said before, because of tax transparency, and then as well as a 90% dividend has to be paid to the purchaser. So the demand is basically good. And the dividend payout, if you out more than 90% undistributed, income tax is exempted. So basically, income tax free if 90% is distributed. So tax transparency, yes. Tax concession for investors also yes. Final withholding tax of 15% for individuals, and 20% for non-resident institutions subject to change. So basically, this is a one-way taxation, not double taxation. So it is good actually, and it is transparent as well. So withholding tax, like I said just now, the tax that have been kept at now, but to be paid in the following year. And then distribution rules and gearing restriction, tax is exempted for the income of real estate investment trust, provided that the condition of distribution 90% of the total income for the year to the unit holders had met. So no tax. The gearing ratio is 35%. That means the total borrowing must not exceed 35% to REIT. So if REIT's company want to borrow from funds institution, so the total borrowings must not exceed 35% of the total borrow money that they have. So that means if they want to have more than that, they can actually approach a Securities Commission. So if Securities Commission approve, then they can actually have gearing ratio of more than 35%. So out of the total what we call it, principal that they get from fund institution, so it must not be 35% that goes to REITs. So that is the rules. And then we can also look at other consideration. Distribution to non-resident individual institutional unit holders are subject to final withholding tax 15 to 20%. So I think this is not really relevant to us to know, because we are basically a resident. And the stamp duty will actually be exempted, and the capital gains tax will be exempted, and then gains from disposal of property by REITs will be exempted. But this are all subject to change from time to time. Like now is a big relax as announced on the budget 2021. And then with regard to corporate tax, so tax reduction will be allowed for startup expenses incurred on the establishment of REIT. So now we try to see the REITs company that we have in Malaysia. We have actually 18 REITs company. Although this is the figure up to 2016, but up to 2020 we have one more REIT extra. So basically we have about 18 REITs company. So we can see here, First Real Estate Investment Trust, for example, the trustees, which come from the Maybank Trustee Berhad, and then the management company is Amara REITs Manager Sendiri Berhad, and then Axis REIT, RSB Trustee Berhad become the trustees, and then Axis REIT Managers Berhad become the management company. So that's why they want to put a registered property manager, because they also want to have their own subsidiary to manage. But last time they did not have to follow the rules, because most of them are not qualified property manager before this, but they gain experience from management from the job in managing REITs company. So they consider themselves as qualified. But after the board is taking over, getting back the profession, so basically only those qualified. So people like you will be 100% qualified once you graduate. So once you get a license for valuation, that's why I don't understand when some of us try to focus on one particular sector, want to be an asset agent only. For those who are not in real estate, who are not graduate in real estate, I agree if they want to focus on estate agency only. But for those who are qualified, better make sure that you get registration for a valuer, get B license, and automatically you will get E license as well as PM license. So focus on value, not on one particular sector. But those who are not from real estate, then it's okay. So we have Amanah Raya, then we have Atrium, Capital Land, Al-Aka, and then Tower, Hector, TGB, KLCC. That's why you can read through after this. And then in terms of the diversification, you can see here Amanah Raya REITs, for example, the properties, offices, hotels, industrial, education, hospital. So basically, for such companies that have huge diversification like this, will actually be the best company to be invested in, because they have if anything happen to one particular sector, so the risk can actually be mitigated by other sectors. Pavilion REITs, retail and residential. Tower REIT is the dangerous one, especially now, because they only involved in REIT, in office. So office market is very down. So that's why the REITs value now become, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 0.20 something only. And then REIT, office, retail, hotels should be good. Capital malls, retail's not that good. Boosted REITs, plantation is basically not affected much by the COVID. And then authorized investment, Amanah Harta Tanah, this is also because it's part of the LC, so should be fine. Al-Aka healthcare, so people need hospital, need healthcare, even during COVID, especially during COVID, that's also the demand will be there. For offices and hotels are out at the moment. So basically, the company will actually generate a steady income, even the other two sectors having problem, not like capital malls and tower REITs. And then Star Hill, residential, hotel, retail, good. Warehouses, office, Atrium, UAA, office, commercial, good. Hector, the retail, not that good. Sunway diversifies to hotel, offices, etc. And they also diversifies in terms of theme parks, so which is good. Asean Rates, which is the first one I said just now, office, industrial, but until now it is performed well. In fact, the first or number one REITs company that has a demand. And then Cool Capital, office, commercial, industrial, and then IGB REITs, commercial. So this is the recent figure that I got from the fifth person, the companies. So basically, we can see that for IPOs, so initial public offerings, so that means when they want to expand, they have to come up with a real estate investment trust. So we can see here the price in August 2005 for Axis REIT, only 0.63. But now, 1.78. So it's increased about 185%, which is very good. And then MRCB, or Cool REIT, so started in 2007 at 0.84, but now to 1,000, one ringgit and 15 cents, so which increased about 137%. And then all are good except a few companies like Hector. Now the price dropped as compared to 2006. Last time it was sold at 1.05, but now the value is only 0.98. Atrium for about 1 cent. And then Tower REIT, this is the REITs that involved in purely in offices. So last time was 1.07, now dropped to 0.8%. So that means minus 25% drop. Amanah Raya 0.94, but now 0.73. And then Ampus started at 1 ringgit, but now 0.49%. So it's dropped about 52%, which is very, very high. So Asean Rates is still the best, like I said. But how long it can sustain, we are not sure, because most companies are affected by COVID-19. And then in terms of distributions of dividend, we can see Asean Rates distributed about 1.17 as dividend, MRCB 1.06. So that means in terms of percentage distribution, 170% for Asean, 126% for RCB Quill. But now when we go down to the companies, Untitled Rates still doing well, although when come to 2020, January 2020, it dropped, and then I believe that by January 2021 it will become even worse. So you can check this, from any REITs news online, and then in terms of the price. So we have seen just now. So in terms of percentage change, so you can see that Tower REIT, because it's only involved in offices only, so it's dropped. The rest are increasing. And dividend yield, you can also see here, ARCA, UOA. So that's the office where the board is located. So the dividend yield is 6.52%. So the highest is Hector, which provided 7.97%. KIP rate, PNB, all are very good, and Capital Land also good. So you can check if you are interested to know in detail. You just check. So now we try to see diversification. So the purpose of anything to ask before we go to diversification?
Doktor, sebelum kita kerana sebelum dalam semester year tu kita pernah belajar investment analysis. Dalam masa tu kita beberapa group kita buatkan itu real estate investment trust, itu risk lah. Tapi semasa kita buat survey masa tu, dia dah ada risk yang mempunyai itu residential punya portfolio ni.
Semasa buat survey dia tidak mempunyai
residential punya portfolio property type.
Yes.
Malaysia
only lately we have.
Lately we have Oh, okay.
When we started last time, that's why I said US they started to have apartments. Malaysia, when we started, usually we started with the office or retail, and then from time to time we expand further. Now we also include residential.
Kenapa tapi search online pun tak ada punya. Dalam search online punya itu maklumat residential rates.
Ada sekarang. Tu I bagi tadi.
Oh, okay. I cuba search lagi.
Tadi I kasih tadi.
Okay.
We go back to here. So residential pavilion rates. You gotta have condominium, the rent to especially foreign renter, and then Star Hill, the one in Bukit Bintang. So basically they also have a residential.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, so the purpose of diversification is to mitigate risk in portfolio management. So it can be a challenge to build a meaningful diversified real estate portfolio due to availability of asset. So basically, the diversification can actually be separated in terms of geographical locations. So that means either in Johor, in Selangor, or in Penang, or across asset classes such as residential, commercial, industrial, etc. You will become a cushion that to what we call it protects one particular sector. What I mean here, cushion means that when we sit down, so you will support our body, so we will feel safe, or something like that. So for risk diversification, something like that also. So if one particular sector is having problems, so the other sector will actually help. So that's why we call it a cushion, to cushion the impacts of any adverse development. And the lower the level of correlation between asset, the greater the potential for portfolio risk reduction. So correlation, I think you have learned this with Encik Gani and Dr. Lan, I think when you learn about statistic. So correlation is the relationship between two variables or more. The higher the correlation value, the higher the relationship will be. So that means if we have higher figures, so the cooperation between all those variables must be there, must be very strong. And the success of a particular diversification strategy consequently depends on the quality of the symmetric correlation between assets. So now we try to see M-first leads. So we can see here, in terms of portfolio diversification, you can see that M-first lead involve much in commercial office, about 68%. So obviously they will be having problem now because the demand is not there. And then retail about 21.5% also having problem. And then only 10.3% in hotel also having problem right now. So it is good if you buy, if you think that the prospects of commercial offices and retail offices, hotel investment, if you think that in terms of longer term period, this will become successful again. So let us check the price of first rate. First rate, first rate, okay. In December 2006, the price was 1 ringgit. So 1 ringgit is actually the book value. The book value. So we have justified the so-called intrinsic value. Learn intrinsic value or not, I think you should learn under business valuation. So we have the actual book value 1 ringgit. So if the intrinsic value, which is now not exactly the intrinsic value because it deducts certain ratio as well, but it can give us a guide of intrinsic value already. 0.4 is under value. If you think that the sector that we are talking just now, first street, which is special restaurant and hotel, will go back to normal again in the next few years, this is the best time for us. The best time for us to purchase first rate because we will definitely make more dividends. So this is called what we call value investing. Value investing, which is good, to take opportunity when the price drop, we purchase. But of course, we have to wait for the next few years. And then once it goes up again, it will go up to the peaks like before. You don't need to sell. You need just wait for the money to come in. Once we think that it will drop again, maybe because it all depends on the economic situation. When it's effect again, so basically it won't drop immediately, that much. Usually we see the economic cycle first, because when we talk in terms of real estate, it will be lags about 1 or 2 years. So if economic cycle already drop, it needs about 1 to 2 years to drop. So at that time we started to sell. Then we can make money. But of course, if we want to sell earlier, we can also make money. But it's a bit wasting, if we cannot wait longer. Unless if we really need to use the money, then we can sell. So this is a good opportunity, actually. 0.59%, which is about less than 52%, which is very, very good. If you wait, I think now, this was in 31st January, but now we are at the end of December. I'm sure it's less than this now. Maybe 30 cents only. I haven't checked yet. Maybe 30 cents only. If 30 cents, no rugi at all. Just purchase. But of course, you must have an account with the one of the company, which is IMB or RSB. You must have an investment account, and then you must purchase through a stockbroker. It's very good now. So that is first rate. But the dividends for the existing shareholder is of course not that good. Those who have purchased, before COVID. So now, if you not sell at that time, so dividend is not it's not that good now. So portfolio trade sector diversification. We can also diversify by portfolio trade. So we can see here, banking institution, which is about 45%, which is banking financial institution, which is very good. And then telecommunication about 12.2%, services about 22.5%, and they also have down to food and beverages and logistics. So this is how the company diversifies. Although the price dropped because they have so much on commercial offices, retail, hotel definitely out. Now the price is very cheap. So everywhere is cheap. The Heaven Hotel in Ipoh, used to be 1,000 plus. Now, if you want to take a quick holiday, you can go there. It's about 300, if I'm not mistaken. The hotel under the mountain there in Ipoh. If you have been there, it's a quite nice hotel. So basically, now the price is not that good, and then you can actually go take this kind of opportunity. But of course, we have to follow the SOP. And then for Axis Rate in terms of location, you can see a geographical location they have in Nilai, Sabujaya, Penang, Kedah, Johor, Kelang, Salam, Petaling Jaya. So if the market in Petaling Jaya is not good, but Johor may be good, Kedah may be good. So this is the beauty of having the companies diversified. And the diversification by tenants, we can see here, multi-tenants, single tenants, and this one still vacant. So majority of the Axis Rate come from single tenant. And then in terms of property type and net lettable area, so you can see here, property type, the majority warehouse logistic. So warehouse basically is basically good. It won't be affected by the COVID because import and export still need to use warehouse logistic. And then office or industrial, like I said just now, for industrial, especially built to suit purposes, is still doing okay. And the only problem now we have is offices, but only 11.16%, and the rest of the investment is still maintained as the highest price or value for real estate investment trust. And the Sunway REITs, so we can see that in terms of the types, property type, so they have retail, hotel, office, others. The majority come from retail, and then hotel 21%, offices 14%. So basically, they are having a problem. I'm sure Sunway REITs price will drop very much by the end of this month. So we just check. And in terms of geographical contribution, so basically we have KL, Penang, Selangor, Perak. So the majority are in Selangor. So they also have, Sunway Lagoon, for example, but because of the pandemic, so not many people go there. The hotel, also not many people stay there. So basically, Sunway Pyramid will definitely have a problem until the end of this month. But I'm not sure next year if we get vaccine and the market will go back to normal. People start to, find a place for holiday, etc. So basically, it will become better. And then Cool Capital, RCB. So basically, in terms of location, they have in Cyberjaya, Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Mont Kiara, Hazard Klang Valley area. In terms of tenancy mix, they have government-linked offices, retail, banking, automotive, logistics, etc. And then diversified segmental contribution, so office, retail, asset, car parks, other commercial buildings. So basically, they have diversified, and then Amanaraya, so they also diversified in terms of the types of businesses, industrial, hotel, education, office, retail. So the majority go to offices, and then education, and then they also diversify in terms of lessee by lettable area. So they have manufacturing, which is the highest, which is good. Manufacturing, won't get affected in terms of operation, but in terms of employees, of course, some of them get affected. Like yesterday, Panasonic in Shah Alam, about 1,000 plus of the employees are found to be affected by coronavirus. And then Top Glass, for example, also more than, I think, 2,000. So it is because of the management who did not take care of the employees. They just want to lose their income. That's why they did that way. So Top Glass also has been sued by especially the resident in the area. So they have to bear the cost. And then gross income, majority come from industrial, and majority come from offices and industrial. So basically, this is the things that the rich company in Malaysia diversifies, just to mitigate the risk. So now, in terms of investment consideration, it should have an ever-increasing dividend payout to its shareholder. So this is the research that I have conducted before. And then from time to time, I've been doing REITs paper as well, about Malaysian REITs, as well as Nigerian REITs. And then it's about Asean Rates as well. So basically, I've been doing research on this from time to time. And then I also have 3 PhD students who are doing REITs with me at the moment. One from China, mainland China, one from Hong Kong, and one from Nigeria. So basically, I become the supervisor, the check group, to help them getting the PhD. by doing analysis in rates. So it should have an ever-increasing dividend payout. So we see the trend. If you see that the trend is good from time to time, so that means that company is considered good. And it should not be a stagnant entity. That means when it started with offices, it becomes, they're the only property that they have for the last few years. But if they diversify, that is a good company. The asset and property should be well taken care of and should be located in a strategic location. This is based on your observation. In a good question, it must be better. Location depends on what sort of demands, for hotel location. For example, if you put hotel location very far from the city center, and then your target rate, your hotel is only 3-star, I'm sure people will stay there. And then it should cater to tenants which show a promising chance of longer term tenancy. So any good anchor tenants we should see. It should have sufficient numbers and variety of tenants. So 70%. 70% is considered good already for any commercial property. So 70% occupied is considered good. But if you have more than 90%, you can put as excellent. And the management is composed of competent and well-skilled professionals. Look at the management. Who is it? Who become the REITs director? Dr. Rosli Said become the REITs director. No, don't invest. He's not a good person to be the director, for example. But if you find someone which is very good, then you see and then you see who are the main investors first, apart from the board of directors, and then see who are the main investors. Either the investors come from EPF, for example, if we talk about Malaysian REIT, and KUAP, Kumpulan Wang Amanah Pekerja, and some other big corporation that invest in. That means that is secure company to be invested in, apart from the board of directors I mentioned just now. So now is I think we this is a tutorial. So for tomorrow we start because I have a presentation like last week with Dr. Wan and Dr. Zai. We started at 11 o'clock, so we finish by usually 1:30. So I need some time in the afternoon. So we start at, maybe give me 20 minutes extra after 2 o'clock. So we start at 2:20, between 2:15 and 2:20. So I will open the class as usual at 2 o'clock. If you want to enter, you can enter. But if I can finish early, so we start at 2:15. But I can let you enter the class, the tutorial up to 2:20 only. And then after that, I stop. Like 2 days, I told you, class start at 9:15. After 9:15, even 9:20, still students are coming to join. So I had to reject, because I've given you enough time. I can start at 9 o'clock, but if I start at 9 o'clock, so you come at, at 9:15. When I start at 9:15, you try to come at 9:30. So really bad for you. So for tomorrow tutorial, we must have 2 questions to be answered. So for the hours that we have, we divide one for one tutorial, the other one for the other tutorial. If you do not answer, then we will forget it. I'm not going to do it the following week. The following week we'll use different tutorial question. Okay, please prepare. Any question before we go, before we dismiss? Because almost 11 o'clock, I know that you have class. Any question? Sorry, what did you say? Who said that just now?
No, doctor, misclick.
Oh, misclick. Okay, the rest of the class, any question? The class this morning we only have 26 students. I rejected quite a few because they come very late, around 9:30. So if there is no question, then we stop now. So see you tomorrow during tutorial. I'll send you a message again what time that we should start tomorrow. Okay, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.